Lost my knife. I don't want to talk about it. We're doing that new Chromecast today. Let's get started. Alright everybody, welcome back to Gadget Conquest, and like I said, today we are going to do a unboxing of the new Chromecast with Google TV. This is a $50 Chromecast that Google recently released that actually comes with a remote and Google TV functionality, which is supposed to be like the next iteration of Android TV just on this Chromecast. So we're gonna do an unboxing and then we're actually going to switch over to my living room where we're gonna connect it to my TV and we're going to see how it works. It's supposed to be able to stream in 4K and HDR, so we're definitely gonna take a look at that and see how the quality is, and also take a look at Google TV and see how that is as well. So without further ado, let's open this box and see what we have in here. Now, I actually used to own the previous Chromecast, but I actually ended up giving it away to a family member because I had ended up buying a TV that has casting built in, and I just didn't need the Chromecast anymore. But now that the Chromecast has Google TV, this is slightly different. My TV, I have an LG TV, and it actually doesn't have, like this. It actually doesn't have access to HBO Max, which the Chromecast with Google TV does have access to. So I'm actually really interested in trying that out because I do have an HBO Max account. So first thing in the box is these two little boxes. This one has a little outline of a controller, and this one has the drawing of the Chromecast. I'm going to assume that that's what's in those two. So before we get to those, we'll look at what else is in here. There's a quick start guide. You know how much I love quick start guides. Hopefully this is better than the non-existent quick start guide that the LG headset had. So here's our safety information, and let's see what our quick start guide has to say. It looks like the remote uses batteries, and yep, there's some batteries in here. Kind of disappointing. I would have liked it to have been like a rechargeable remote, but I understand this whole thing is 50 bucks, so I can live with having to use batteries. And the quick start guide is over. That was really fast. It's actually just 2 pages. Looks like we're going to be using Google Home to set it up, which is fine. I already have Google Home. And then it just goes over the buttons on the remote. Now this remote is a voice remote, which is going to be super cool because access to Google Assistant is amazing. And it looks like the remote just uses AAA batteries. All right, let's see what else is in here. Ooh. Yeah, I'll pick it up later. We have our 2 AAA batteries. So these are not branded. Let's see if I can get this open without hurting myself. All right. Yeah, these are actually batteries with Google's logo on them. Well, not their logo, but their Google's brand name on them. Google size AAA alkaline 24A. Yep, these are Google batteries, pure white batteries. They look pretty good, actually. So we'll put those off to the side, and we'll move on to the power adapter, which is... What kind of animal did this? All right, the power adapter is really in there. There we go. All right. Give it a little force, and you've got your little wall wart here. It is it's really hard to read this. 7.5 watt power adapter. That's very, very small. That's like 1.5 amps at 5 volts. Yeah, 1.5 amps at 5 volts. You could probably get this if your TV has a a USB port on it. I know there's a lot of TVs nowadays that have USB ports on them for, I don't know, debugging or whatever. That actually might push enough power to charge the Chromecast without needing this. So I'm gonna try that to see if that works. Now, the other thing we have in here is this very, very nice looking USB-C cable. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we do have to unravel this. What the heck? Okay, so it looks like we've got these clips, cable clips with, I'm not willing to call them cable combs, but they are very similar. And they just sort of clip shut. That's actually pretty cool. And these are totally reusable. I would definitely, I'm gonna hold on to these. I'll probably just put them back in the box and then never see them again. But I'm definitely gonna hold on to these clips. The cable itself, good distance, good length, because remember this is just going from a TV to an outlet or a TV to a USB port, so it doesn't need to be super long. It's probably like a meter cable, and that's good enough. I think that that is good enough. So let's go to the main two things here. Let's open the Chromecast first. Why not? This should be the least exciting of the two, actually. Okay, and then the comes out of a pouch, and here we have our white Chromecast. You know, this actually looks like a, it has a very similar shape to the wireless charger, the Pixel stand. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So there's a button on the back. I assume that's some sort of pairing button, and then there is, yeah. And then there is the HDMI with a flat connector. As compared to the previous Chromecast iterations, it's longer, but thickness-wise, I don't actually think that it's any thicker than the other Chromecasts were. And then you've got your USB-C port on that end. And now we move on to the controller, which is, in my opinion, the most exciting part about this hardware is that it now finally comes with a controller, which makes sense since it'll have Google TV. And this controller, ooh, this is a nice controller. Yeah, this feels good. Can you hear the clicking? Very, very tactile buttons. They feel very good. So you have a IR blaster at the top. You have a wheel here. Well, I say a wheel. This is more like a directional pad. I think it's actually just a just a 4-point directional pad, just in the shape of a wheel. And then you have a center button. There is a Google Assistant button, followed by a back button, a home button, and then you have a mute button. There's a dedicated YouTube and Netflix button. I don't know how I feel about that. Frankly speaking, I'm perfectly fine with the YouTube button. The YouTube button makes perfect sense to me, YouTube being a Google property. So obviously they would want to pimp their stuff, and then also, you know, YouTube being such a popular website. Netflix, I'm not okay with. Not everybody uses Netflix. I have a Netflix subscription that I go on and off with. I don't always use it. I would prefer this to be like a programmable button where it's just like C1 or something like that, and then I can customize it and make it whatever kind of button I want. I'm not really the fan of having these kinds of buttons. Now, I say that my controller on my TV has like 6 of those buttons, like Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, and all these other ones that I really don't like to use either. So this is definitely not as egregious as that, but on a controller this size, it's annoying that one of the few buttons that it has is a Netflix button. It's not, I'm just not a fan. There's also a power button down here at the bottom, and what looks like some sort of, actually I don't even know what kind of button this is, maybe an input button? I can't really tell. There's also a microphone right there. There's a little slot for a microphone in between the input button and the power button. Actually, you know what? The quick start told me what kind of button that was. It is TV input. Cool. So that's cool. Actually, if I can control the TV input with this button, that's awesome. Because then that means that I don't even have to use my TV's OS anymore. Like even for controlling inputs. That's awesome. And then on the right side here, we have our volume rockers. This is actually similar to how Roku handles the volume rockers. They'll put them on the side like that. And then let's go ahead and put the batteries in them. This slot came off really easily, and these just slot in. Oh, that's interesting. So normally it's one battery goes in one direction, the other battery goes in the other direction, but these actually both go in with the positive side up. And the controller is on, and there is a white LED at the bottom of the controller there. I don't know if you could see that, but yeah, this is nice. This is nice. I'm liking this whole thing. So let's move over to the living room and to the TV. We'll get this plugged in, and we'll go over the initial setup, and I'll watch a video. We'll do some HDR and see how that goes. Let's go over to the living room now. All right, so we're here in my living room. I've got the Chromecast connected to the TV. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to power the Chromecast through the USB port on my TV. When I tried to connect it, the Chromecast actually did turn on, but it went to a screen that said that there wasn't enough power coming in and that I needed to connect it to the power adapter. Luckily, my surge protector that I'm using has two 3.5 amp, 5 volt USB ports on them, which is more than enough power to power the Chromecast, and then also they're protected by the surge protector, so that was pretty cool. But you know, your mileage may vary with it. I don't really know all of the specs of all of the TVs. I just know that mine wasn't able to handle it, so take that as you may. The first thing that it gave me, I've actually skipped that screen on accident, was to pair the controller. The controller, as soon as I pressed a button on the controller instantly paired and took me into a welcome screen to select my language. Now, from this point on, for the rest of this setup, I'm actually gonna set up the camera so that it's only pointing at the TV, and you won't be able to see my my handsome face, but you'll be able to hear me, and I'll walk you through how we get this set up, and I'll be doing that. I will also be setting it up on my phone using Google Home. You won't be able to see my phone doing that, but I will tell you, I will narrate to you what's going on as I do it. If you haven't seen my Galaxy S20 FE video, definitely go watch that after this video and give it a thumbs up, and then subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because what the fuck? Anyway, let's move the camera and get to getting this thing set up. All right, we've got the camera focused on the TV, so I will get my stupid hat out of the way and let you guys watch while I narrate what's going on, and we'll see how this setup process goes. Let's get started. Ugh. All right, so first things first, we're gonna select our language. My language happens to be English. Now it says to go onto the Google Home app. Let's do that. So I'm just opening up the Google Home app on my phone, and then I need to, don't even know what I need to do at this point. I'm going to assume set up Chromecast. There's a button here for that. It's now looking for devices. Let's see if it finds anything. All right, so it couldn't find a device, so now it's actually asking for camera permission so that it can scan the QR code. Let me get over here, find that QR code. All right, and now we have our QR code scanned, and it is connecting. Follow the instructions of the Google Home app. All right, on the Google Home app, there aren't any instructions right now. It actually just says connecting to Chromecast. I don't know if you can see that. It just says connecting, so it might be here for a while. All right, connected. Sweet. All right, so now there's some terms and services that I need to agree to. There's also additional legal terms, which you cannot say no thanks to, okay? Where is this device? Mine is in my living room, so I'm going to select living room here. And then you can connect it to Wi-Fi, so it looks like it can connect to a 5G network, which is great, which, I mean, that makes sense, right? If it's going to be streaming 4K HDR, it's probably going to need to connect to a 5G network. I don't know if it's going to be capable of handling that over 2G alone. So I connected to the Wi-Fi, and now it says that it's connecting to my Wi-Fi network. Let's see how long this takes. I'm sure it won't be very long, right? It won't be very long. Okay, now it says following instructions. The phone says connected again, and now it wants me to sign in with my Google account. So I'm going to go ahead and let it sign in with my Google account, and we'll see how that goes. Now it's asking me to verify that it's me, so I'm just using my fingerprint. And now it says signing into your Chromecast with your Google account, and the Google Home app just closed. Interesting. It looks like it didn't crash, it just intentionally closed for some reason, but it looks like there's a system update anyway, so I'm going to let that apply the system update while I open up the Chromecast app, the Google Home app, and actually the Google Home app says signed in, and it's now asking me for some service agreements. So I'm going to go through those, and now it's telling me to set up Google Assistant. So I'm going to allow Google Assistant to search through my media. Okay, and now it's asking me to activate voice match, which I do use voice match on my Google Assistant, so I'm going to leave that to do it. It's asking about saving audio. I am going to disagree to that. Now it's asking about personal results with my voice. I'm going to agree to that. I actually really like that stuff. And then now I can actually select my service. I really hope you guys can see this because I'm just holding it up randomly. Now it's asking me to select the services that I want to use. So I do have Hulu, I do have Netflix, I do have YouTube, I have Spotify, I also have Prime Video, I have HBO Max, and I think that's it. I don't have any of these other subscriptions, just those. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit next. And now it's asking me about my ambient mode, how I would like to use ambient mode. I'm gonna let it use my, probably actually shouldn't let it use my Google Photos, although there are some good photos in there that it can use. I'll just do the gallery. There's also, so it's asking me to sign up for a newsletter, which I'm going to say no thanks. And it says all done. So the software setup on my phone is now complete. All I have to do now is wait for this system update to finish installing, and once it's done installing, I'll actually be able to start streaming content. So I'm going to cut here, and we'll come back once this is done installing, and I am ready to actually start navigating the system and then watch something. So I will see you guys in just a moment, hopefully. Okay, we're back. The TV is done setting up. There was actually a really cool process with the controller. I accidentally clicked a button. There was a really cool process setting up the controller in which the controller actually works as a universal remote in which it can control your TV, your soundbar, and the Chromecast all at the same time. The volume actually is set up to control my soundbar. The power and input buttons control the TV itself, and then the rest of it controls the Chromecast, which is super cool because that means that these two controllers, my soundbar controller and my TV controller, are now useless. I don't need them anymore. That's great. I love it. This is awesome. A one-stop solution for everything that comes in the box for, you know, $50. I don't know. This is probably like 10 bucks of it. I don't know. So this is super cool. I will quickly do a speed run through and show you guys the setup process that I had to go through for the controller. Now, I guess. Now! Welcome back. Okay. We'll go ahead and I'm gonna go through the menus and then we'll watch something really fast and see what the conclusion to this video is back at my desk. Okay, let's do that. All right, so this is awkward. Here I am editing this very video, and I realized that I am missing the footage of my conclusion with the Chromecast. That's unrecoverable. I don't know. I think what happened was I moved the camera and then without stopping the recording, and then I hit record to start the recording that I had never stopped. And I stopped the recording and pretended like I was recording for about 5 minutes. That's a huge faux pas on my end, and there's nothing I can really do about it. I could have tried to redo the conclusion. You guys would have never noticed, but I think that it's better if I just own up to it this way. Anyway, the Chromecast with Google TV was awesome. I'm recording this video about, I'm editing this video about a week after I initially did that recording. And in this week, I have actually spent 3, maybe 4 days actually watching TV, which is something that I almost never do. I'm not really a TV watching kind of person, but I really wanted to try the Chromecast, and I actually really enjoyed using Google TV. Having the Google Assistant at the touch of a button was really awesome, especially because of the way where it works, where it's similar to the Pixel Buds, where as long as you're holding the button down, it's listening, and then when you let go, that's when it stops listening. I really love that level of granular control that it has. I think that's really awesome. And the responsiveness of the menu system worked really well. There was a hiccup with the controller, so it has like a few options that you can do, and it seems that the controller setup just really doesn't account for all of those options. So there's 3 buttons that the controller uses to control something other than the Chromecast itself. You have your power button, you have your volume, and you have your input selector. And the initial setup for the controller makes you set up the power button and the volume buttons, but it actually completely ignores the input selector button during the setup, and thus my controller, the input selector actually didn't work because it was on the wrong setting. The power button and the volume worked fine, but the input selector didn't. I actually had to go through the controller setup one more time and remember to basically say no on the second time when the power button actually did work, just so that I could force it to use a different preset and actually get the input selector to work. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. But it doesn't really change my conclusion that I had before that you guys will never see. And that conclusion is that the thing is great. It's definitely worth the money. And frankly, I'm going to keep using it probably forever. And as I upgrade TVs, I will just keep slapping it into the new TV, because having one unified, responsive, attractive UI across any TV that I connect to, instead of having to rely on the UI that's built into the TV, which in most cases isn't very good, or in some cases is good, but might be kind of slow or difficult to navigate. All of these things can add up, you know? So having this one single UI that I can use on all of the TVs that I get henceforth is really, really cool, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who either hates the UI that the TV comes with, whatever OS your TV comes with, whether it's a Samsung with Tizen or an LG with WebOS or whatever Vizio is doing, and Sony. But if you hate their UI and you want to try something new, I definitely recommend the Chromecast. And if you fall in love with the Chromecast like I have, then moving it from TV to TV is actually just as easy as unplugging it and plugging it into the new TV, which is freaking awesome. Anyway, that's all I have for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching up to this point. This was an actual pretty long video. I apologize for that, but I had a lot of stuff to go over. You know, always remember to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Unless you hate me, give me a thumbs down. So far, none of you have given thumbs down, and I feel like that can't be right. There's no way that all of you love me. Some of you have to hate me, right? There has to be one, at least one. Anyway, I'm getting really off the rails with this video, so have a good day. Or a good night for me, or whenever you guys are watching this video. Enjoy the rest of your day and all of your days after that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.